Well, welcome back onto the channel, and I'm very glad to have Jonathan here today from Precursive, and we're going to talk a little bit about implementing AI across your organization and why it's so important for CEOs to be on top of this at the moment. But for those that are not aware, Jonathan, maybe just a quick intro to you, your role, and what Precursive does.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Charlie, as a recent AI convert, I guess. So I'm Jonathan. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Precursive. We're a software company. We operate in the Salesforce ecosystem. So our customers are SaaS companies who use our software to manage and improve all elements of services delivery. So think of us as like a CRM for your delivery teams. That's where we operate.
Brilliant. So AI, of
Here we go.
course, the topic is all over at the moment. And one of the things that I think is coming through clearly is that this is a time for CEOs to earn their money. This is a time when the decisions that you make are going to impact what's going to happen with the company over the coming quarters and years. So maybe you can just share a little bit of your perspective of how you've come to looking at AI and how that is going to potentially impact both your customers and what you offer them, but also your own people within the company.
Yeah, sure. So I think that the trigger for me was really, in the markets that we operate in, if you go back a few years, there was very much this growth at all costs mentality, and then an underlying financial ecosystem that supported that with cheaper money, whether that's through VCs or whatever mechanism it was that people were accessing capital, and that's just no longer there, right? Or certainly if it's there, it's for a very select group of companies. And so I think that the biggest shift that I've seen, firstly in the customers that we work with, is them needing to be more efficient, them needing to be more profitable, and so that was really that kind of lit a lot of conversations, or started a lot of conversations for us with our customers about what we were doing with AI, firstly in our products that we provide to them. And we do a number of things. We have a number of AI engines in the product, agents, if you will, is kind of the common nomenclature for them. And so those can be used by our customers to help them improve things like resourcing. It can be help them to better manage risks and sort of see around the corner on project delivery. So much like you've got a co-pilot on deals, you've got a co-pilot on delivery.
Mm.
And I became really aware then of, the ability for us as a business to have less employees, not to get rid of employees, but we wouldn't necessarily need as many employees to scale our own business. So that was something that I started thinking about, and that's not a bad thing. And the other thing that's happened in the marketplace is that it isn't a bad thing if you're I think, 30-person company doing 100 million ARR these days, of which I think one of the AI, is it Cursor?
Well, yeah, Cursor, Lovable, Bolt, these companies are scaling at just monumental rates with about 10 people around a desk.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I think the one before maybe Cursor that had gone very quickly was Deal, but they're probably now certainly, I think, more than 1,000 employees, whereas Cursor's got, as you say, like 20 guys, 20 girls,
Mm.
just hammering
Crazy.
out crazy ARR to employee head ratios. So for me, it was very much a case of like, I wanted to educate myself about what the potentials were with AI inside of the business as much as what we did in the product. And so that was kind of the next step then, like, how could we better use AI in Precursive to improve the way that we do things in a number of different areas. So that's kind of where it came from.
Fantastic. And I definitely hear a lot of this around, to make a sweeping generalization of CEOs, either on the ski slopes or on the golf course, people talking to each other and go, what are you doing with AI? What are you doing with AI? And it's like this, the buzzword is out there and everyone is trying to figure out how do we, make best use of this shift. So thinking a little bit about the journey that we've gone on over the past few weeks, and
Yeah,
I'll just sort of lay out those different stages, and then it'd be
go
great
for
to
it.
get your thoughts on that. So the first thing that we did was to run an AI amnesty survey out to everyone in the company. The second thing that we did was to run an AI inspiration workshop or briefing. And then we're now moving on to doing individual use cases.
Yep.
So maybe just talk about your experience of going through that journey and what we learned both through the survey and then the briefing that we held.
Yeah, so the context to that was I think we wanted to firstly understand what people's perceptions of AI were in parts of the business. So we didn't run that survey for everyone in the company. We ran it for a select group of people. And so I think that was quite that came out with a few interesting insights. Like I think one, it was AI was probably more used by the front end revenue team, as we call it, which is the sales and marketing organization, inclusive of business development, who are using it daily. And then, that would, that would contrast to other areas of the team who are maybe using it pretty infrequently, if at all. So it was useful to begin with to kind of see the contrast. I think it was also useful to like put this on people's agenda. Like we're doing a survey, there's a project here, this is happening, it's a part of our strategy. So again, that's useful for people to see that it's more than just is there some hot topic that we're having at a company meeting. I think really where it's gone that step further is it's just been really eye-opening to myself and to members of the team at the level of potential, because what the AI inspiration workshop kind of brought to bear was just firstly getting everyone talking about it. So I think the fact that you were able to come in with some of that background, with some of the context to our business, and then tie use cases and AI solutions to those needs and use cases and give very practical examples, you immediately saw the reaction of myself and members of the team, some of who aren't the most, vocal, happily voicing solutions of like that we can use straight away. And we have. So literally, I think the session was last week. Within the week, we've begun implementing the Google Notebook LLM approach for our services organization. And so that's definitely something that we'll be leveraging going forward. That use case is our professional services team internally who deliver our products to our customers. They have to do preparation for new engagements with our customers. And so there's several inputs to that. Those inputs are templates that our sales teams use throughout a sales cycle. They are inputs from the customers themselves, e.g., their website, e.g., the services that they sell that might be on a web page or might be on documentation. We load that into Google, and then we're also then able to put in transcripts of key calls during that sales cycle. So, for example, sales meetings, what we call process reviews. We look at things by different service lines that our customers sell. And it's amazing because it takes all of that and creates several assets that the team uses to prepare for those engagements, or will be using to prepare for those engagements. So one, it's short cycling the prep time of correlating that information, which was not super manual, but it basically went into quite a static doc. So the inputs are the same, but it was quite static. Now it's going into Notebook LLM. I'm using the correct name, right? Yeah. So
Notebook
now it's
LM,
going
yeah,
into
just one L, yeah.
Notebook LM. Notebook LM. So now it's going into that, and the inputs are the same, but the output is very much more dynamic. So what it's doing is it's creating a preparation document, it's creating an FAQ document, it's creating a podcast, which
Yeah.
is two AI hosts talking to one another about this customer, what they do, what their challenges are, how they're going to use Precursive. So that's amazing because in services, you're sat there working in a virtual environment, working on project work, you're at your desk a lot. So to be able to get up, walk around, listen to a podcast for 20 minutes that helps you prep is a great change of scenery, number one. And number two, you can actually ask it questions and it will come back to you with answers. So that's just, game changer is the right word for that, because that's probably taking something that takes, I would say, a couple of hours in terms of that handover process, right? In terms of effort for sales, effort for services, and it's compressing that down to almost nothing. And the services team now is going to be that better, much better prep, so that when they do go into this transition meeting between sales and services, it's just a lot. Everyone knows exactly the same things on both sides. So incredible.
Now, it was such a fun exercise to do, and just a bit of background for those listening in. So Notebook LM allows you to upload sources, and then you can interact with those sources, like Jonathan says on a podcast. So what we did was take a prospect that I knew that Jonathan's team were working on, and got some details off their website, one of their customers, some details about their service delivery. And then we also got a copy of the ideal customer profile from Jonathan's sales team. And so we uploaded those as the two sources. And then the task for the two podcast guests was to analyze whether this prospect was a good fit for Precursive's ICP. And so that in itself is a really interesting 20-minute or so podcast of these two debating it. But with the new feature in Notebook LM where you can interrupt the hosts, you can actually start asking them about why they've made that decision of whether it is a good or bad ICP fit. And it was just so wonderful to play that out in the session, because it's that kind of, oh my goodness moment where conversation just erupts all around the room. People go, I can't believe what I've just listened to. Now I'm thinking about using that for a handover. Now I'm thinking about using that for, in our finance process or whatever. And it just helped to bring that to life for everyone, I think.
Yep. No, this is awesome. It's just awesome. That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, it was good. And I think for a lot of these sessions, there are a couple of things that people that attend really get out of it. So one is understanding the importance of context. So the only reason that Notebook LM example works well is because you give it the context, about your company and about the prospect. Yep. And that makes it interesting. If you were to upload it about some other company, not so relevant. So the importance of data in everything for AI, super important. And then the other thing that comes out through the survey, the AI Amnesty survey and these sessions, is that when you ask people, are you using AI? And they say, yeah, I use it all the time. Typically what they mean is they use the free version of ChatGPT, and they are using it to write stuff for them. So I think of this, if they're using it as an intern, someone that is beneath them to go and do work that they don't want to do. And what I encourage people to do through these sessions is to actually, instead of think of it as an intern, which it can be quite good at that, is to think of it as a coach, someone that is above you and knows more than you, because across most domains, the AI does know more than you do. So instead of saying, go and do this work for me, more, can you help me think through how I should approach this? So the same kind of things that you'd go and ask a mentor. And as we did with the Notebook LM example, once you start thinking of it as a mentor, as a coach, suddenly, oh my God, you've got access to all these other skills that you wouldn't have had before.
Yeah, I think the other thing that through this engagement with you has helped me to do and the team to do is the importance of that context. So providing context to whether it's ChatGPT or whatever tool it might be. An example recently is helping a client think through how they're going to improve the profitability of their services organization. And so taking some of the inputs from them, we have things like these calculators that we can plug in their data to, and it will give us kind of data points and outputs. So for example, if you pull forward, your delivery times by X amount, and your average software ACV is X and your average services ACV is Y, and your revenue recognition policy is Z, then if you can, on a unit basis, improve delivery by 30 days, what is the impact of that in that portfolio of those products that you're delivering. And so it's been very helpful to take some of those, anonymized obviously, but take some of those inputs for my own thinking around how to order this, and then what might be some of the trade-offs, which are the other interesting element I think of AI now, which is it the reasoning piece that you
Mm.
mentioned? Yeah. So basically saying, look, in scenario A, if we want to improve profitability by X with these variables, scenario B might be this. So we can say to we can say to customers, look, based upon your context and your maturity, it's realistic that you might be able to go this fast, but if you don't, you might be going this fast. And again, it's accelerating that. And like you said, I think of it as someone very much alongside me who's got the right knowledge. Now you have to verify it, right? You have to qualify that information that you get back for sure. Of course you do. The other bit that we've worked on is then how does this, how do we approach this from our security policies perspective? Because we have various information security policies that we adhere to and need to continue to adhere to. So the other element was to make sure that we were incorporating those into the way that we are going to use AI to make sure that we're doing it in accordance with kind of how we manage security. But it also, on that use case, we've been able to create a notebook LM, which is basically all of our security policy information. And our team now can go and ask questions to it. So when, for example, whether that's a salesperson or a customer success person or a support person who is fielding questions about that, then rather than someone jumping into Slack and asking, hey, I've had this, they can ask it there, and it's got all of the necessary inputs and will spit out the correct answer.
Mm.
Again,
Yeah.
kind of a really cool use case for time saving and efficiency. I think like you were saying to me, like kind of like how would I don't know, coach or counsel myself to approach this? I think I was definitely almost like at the tipping point of like we definitely need to do something. So I'm just fantastically happy we are. Like
Mm.
really, like it's been. So I described to someone last week was like almost being like a kid again in a weird way. Of like all these cool things that we could do that are genuinely so interesting and can just have massive deltas in productivity change. So
Mm.
my only guidance would have been to myself would have been, I think, come at it the right way, but don't leave it too long because you
Yeah.
just you're not. I don't think it's about like, oh, you're missing out on something. Like you are, like you
Mm.
definitely are. It's what are those things? I didn't appreciate all the different use cases that we would actually discover out of it. So
Yeah.
no, super cool.
Yeah. And so, wrapping up, what's
Mhm.
next? We're going to be running some use case workshops to get into the detail. So, just talk me through about how you think about that, like how you take the inspiration workshop, which kind of get everyone hyped up and buzzy. How do we then turn that into real use cases and work for your team?
Yeah. So my dog's just come to say hello. Um, what do you think about AI? Not too much. I want a biscuit. So there's three core teams in our business: our revenue team, our customer team, and our product team. And so we've been looking at like what are the key potential use cases for AI in each team. We don't want to sort of just come at it. Oh, okay, let's everyone go crazy on this stuff. It's like no, okay, what are going to be the really meaningful ways that we can improve the way that we do things? So, for example, is it augmentation of a process and like sharpening that process? Is it displacement of time and the cost associated with that? And that's kind of always a bit of a we have this in with our prospective clients where you go, oh, is it really a cost because you're still paying that person to do the time? And it's like, well, the way that I look at it is, yes, I'm paying, that's part of someone's job, but if you were to tell me they're going to spend, sorry, it's a bit of background noise, shut up. If they're going to spend, you know 20 hours on the wrong thing, I don't want them to do that. So again, it will be like time displacement, cost displacement. And then it'll be, I think, I think the one that I described is like that's something that's happening already. And it's not like augmenting, like it's not tweaking something and making it a little bit better. It's just fundamentally overhauling how that process works to be something just way better than it was before. So we're just trying to go through and say, right, where does this drive the most value most quickly? And then not overcomplicating it. Like there's some of the things from that meeting, we're just doing them because they're not hard to do. It's that was the interesting thing. Like, you know, a couple of days after, it's like, oh, let's try this out on a particular client, and it just worked. So it's like, okay, let's just do that. So you're connected, I think, to members of different teams, and then we'll take it forward with them, and we'll just ensure that kind of it forms a part of our overall strategic planning framework, which is called GOSPER. So it's goals, objectives, strategies, plans, and actions, and it kind of cascades down and up. And so within that is an operational effectiveness sort of, let's say, work stream, for want of a better word. And so it forms like a core part of that and enabling that.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Jonathan, for sharing your perspectives. So people are inspired to learn more about Precursive. Where do they go?
Precursive.com is the website. Precursive.com. Or alternatively, if they're a services leader looking for a community and a network of their peers, then the Services Delivery Alliance, which again is servicesdeliveryalliance.com. So either of those two places, or, you know, if you post my my LinkedIn link on LinkedIn on this one, Charlie, if they have any questions on AI, I'm happy to share my input on it.
Oh, brilliant. I will do. Thanks, and look forward to continuing the AI journey.
Cool, man. Sounds good. Thanks, Charlie.
Cheers.